Hello YouTube, this is my full tier list on whether or not you should climb with this mid laner. This is based purely off of vibes, my personal experience, as well as whether or not they're good in low elo, high elo, etc. Something else to note is I'm not going to be basing it off of this exact patch, or Ryze would be the best champion in the game, and it wouldn't really be close. I'm currently making this video on stream, so if you want to check me out on stream, link will be in the video description. We should probably start with Ryze. This champion is pretty good. I'd say he's an S tier pick to climb with. He's, with the caveat that he's basically high elo, like bound. If you're not Diamond Plus, don't touch Ryze. But if you are Diamond Plus, he's pretty good. He's pretty strong early. Historically, he's kind of been a bad team fighter because he like self-roots himself. But with the fact that like mid laners can now take Ghost pretty much every game, I think it really favors him. And he's pretty much always good. He's very good in side lanes. Just a really good champion. I'll do Vi next because I'm not really sure why people put her here. I don't think she's that good of a mid laner. She's kind of a cheesy pick. I personally wouldn't recommend her. Same with Rakan, like both F tier. I don't know why they're here. We'll do Aurora next. I think Aurora is one of the better champs on this list. Maybe not the best. Because I think the issue with Aurora is that she's really, really good if you're like solo AP. If you're solo AP Aurora, you're like the most broken champion in the entire game. And if you're not solo AP Aurora, you're not useless, but you definitely fall off compared to champs like Ahri, right? Ambessa is honestly really good. I think she's one of the best AD mid laners. She's just really hard. But if you like AD mid laners and you like mechanically complex champions, Ambessa mid's really, really good. It spikes super hard on 3 items. It's just kind of a Thanos pick, to be honest with you. Samir's not a mid laner. Zoe is going to be my first S+. I think this champion is so crazy good, she's just hard. But she's basically always, like, broken in high elo. So, not a low elo champion by any means. But in high elos, this champion is an absolute monster. She is so strong on every single patch. You can go haste build, you can go burst build. Like, the champion is just really, really, really good. Not a mid laner. Not really a mid laner. I think Syndra's going to join Zoe in the S tier. Syndra is really, really broken in a different way than Zoe is. So while Zoe is a scaling champ, or not a scaling champion, excuse me. Zoe is a very strong early game champion that like dominates lanes and skirmishes. Syndra is kind of the opposite. Whereas, she's not really great in early game skirmishes. She's not as terrible as, like, other control mages. But she has probably some of the best scaling in the game. She's, like, perma 53% win rate. I can't think of a patch where Syndra's been bad, like, in the past 2 years. She's always been really, really, really strong. Her QE ability is really broken in solo queue. You can use RE for guaranteed engagement fights. This champion is just... She's actually one of those broken champs in League. She's one of 2 champions I've OTP'd to master, so I have a soft spot for her. I think Akali is probably S tier. She's really, really, really good. You know what? I'll make S plus my top 5. How about that? And then we'll see who fluctuates in and out of the top 5. But Akali is a really, really good pick. I'll put her between Ryze and Ambessa. She does have some hard counters. Like Lissandra's not fun. That's kind of the only one I can think of, but there's like certain bruiser picks mid lane, like Yorick isn't fun. But if you're not playing into one of those matchups, she just like shits on everyone else. She has a lot of skill expression. She's a lot better as an OTP than in like a pool because of how hard she is, but she's definitely one of the best champs to climb with. Viktor is top of S tier. He might be one of the like most iconic mid lane mages. There's argument for top 5, to be honest with you. Very, very, very good scaling. Very, very, very good laning. His weakness is that if you're bad at laning and you're forced into like a jungle skirmish, he's kind of bad. So he forces you to develop 1v1 like prowess and good laning skills, and that's really, really useful. And he's good in like every elo permanently, and he has a lot of skill expression, so definitely an awesome champion. Man, Ahri's like... I just don't click with Ahri. So I'm going to put her in A tier, similar to Aurora, because... I just think there are other skirmishers I would rather play, like Galio or Taliyah. And Ahri isn't bad per se, but she's really, really squishy. And I think as far as like solo carry champs go, she's not the best for that. I personally don't click with her. but I don't think she's, like, bad. She's a staple mid laner. I can't put her in A tier. She's S tier. She's, like, better than Aurora because she also has CC. But I'll put her at bottom of S tier just because, like, I don't personally click with her. Vigar's, like, B tier. Okay. Yeah. Vigar's really not ideal. It's, like... Okay, I'm going to put him in C tier because he's just not that strong, in my opinion. There's a lot of champions that are better than Vigar that do similar things that match his scaling. Like, you can play Syndra and scale as well as Vigar does. The benefit of Vigar is that he's, like, easy. Maybe I'll make this, like, a low elo specialist here. Like, because in low elo, he is really good, and he's good at teaching you the game in low elo. But in higher elos, like, why wouldn't you just play Syndra? Zed is, like... Zed's fine. He's a solid AD mid laner, but he's purposely kept weak because of how frustrating he is to play, especially targeting lower elo players. If you're really good on him, you can make him work, but I'm going to lower him, honestly. I just don't think he's worth it in comparison to the other champions you could play. Like, all these champions are so unbelievably good. I think Ambessa, like, is a lot better than Zed is, weirdly enough. Even though Ambessa was designed for, like, top lane, she's still a really good mid laner. She likes the empowered boots a lot more than Zed does. I just can't put Zed in, like, any tier here. Honestly, okay, I'm going to make a not a mid laner tier. And then below this, I'm going to make a, at row below, I'm going to make a, like a C tier. This feels a lot better. And we'll make this, like, green, and we'll make this, like, low elo specialist. There we go. I'm going to put Zed in C tier. Vlad's fine, honestly. Not great, but fine. He's just... I think the issue with Vlad is he doesn't really teach you the game because he doesn't trade like other mid laners. You just have to permanently sustain. And there's certain matchups that are just so unbelievably bad, it's like, it's not playable. So I just can't put him above anyone else. He's definitely better than like Zed or Vigar, but he's worse than Aurora. Recommendations for top laners, play Ambessa. Champ's really, really, really strong. Or Garen in low elo. Next up we have Cassio. There's arguments for Cassio to go in every tier, to be honest. She's just so mechanically demanding that, like, she scales with your mechanics. So I'm gonna put her at A tier on, like, average, assuming you have good mechanics. But she's really, really, really mechanically demanding, and she's in a lot of really bad matchups, like Syndra, Orianna, and those are common blind picks. So I can't recommend her in good conscience, but she is strong, and if you have good hands and you use her as a counter pick, she's kind of a monster champion. Sylas is good. Honestly, Sylas is very, very, very consistent. I'll say next to Aurora. His early skirmishing is dominant. He's kind of like Ryze, where, like, I don't recommend him unless you're Diamond Plus, but if you are Diamond Plus, he's really, really good. He's very similar to Ryze, actually, in a lot of ways. Whereas Ryze is, like, has more scaling and can blow people up with Actualizer. Sylas is more a utility champ, weirdly enough. You have, like, good ultimates, and you, like, might lock down the enemy team with a Namumu or Sylasar or Alistar or something. You're much more of a bruiser than Ryze is, but still very good. We have my beloved Taliyah. And you would be silly if you did not think I would not be putting Taliyah in the top 5. I actually don't think she's better than Syndra. Syndra's a lot easier, and she's a lot better pick potential than Taliyah does. Like, Taliyah's pick potential is okay, but Syndra's is maybe the best in the game out of any mid laner. But Taliyah kind of has everything, right? She's hard, but in exchange for being hard, she has incredible scaling, incredible wave clear, good side laning, good team fighting. She can do it all, and if you're good at the game, Taliyah's a good champ for you. I wouldn't recommend her below gold, but if you're like plat or above, try Taliyah. Genuinely a really underrated champ, but like the first 50 games suck. Like, I had a 37% win rate in my first 50 Taliyah games. Like, champ is really hard. She's also one of the other champs I OTP to master, by the way, next to Syndra, so definitely biased. Nico's just not that great, unfortunately. Not B tier. She's not as bad as Zed is. She has, like, pretty good win rates, but the issue with her is that they've kind of made her, like, a support champion. Like, she's just a lot better support than she is mid lane, unfortunately, and I don't know how to undo that. So, sorry, Nico, but you're a cool champion, and your win rate's not bad. You're just, like, really niche. You're more an engaged champion than you are, like, anything else. You can't assassinate people as well as an assassin. You don't have the DPS of like a Ryze or a Taliyah. And you don't have like the control of a Viktor or a Syndra, so I just can't put you any higher. Sorry. Yone is a terrible champion to climb with. Even in high elo, where he's like theoretically best, he's permanently kept weak because of pro play. And he's like hard. In fact, Yone is so bad, I'm going to move Zed up just to highlight how bad Yone is. Yone is terrible. In fact, we'll make a Yone tier. Like, this is maybe the worst mid laner in the entire game to climb with. He is really bad. He's purposely kept weak. And he will almost never be good. So, please do not play Yone if you care about your LP. Asol is actually low-key better bot lane. But he's not terrible mid. He's pretty good for learning the game in lower elos. In fact, he might go in the low elo tier. If he wasn't in the low elo tier, I'd probably put him at like B tier or like low A tier. But he's just so much better in low elo because in high elo you kind of get shit on in lane by almost everything. So just play him bot lane or only play him in low elo. His scaling is obviously fantastic, but his lane is just really, really weak in comparison. Corki's not really a mid laner. Yasuo might be top 5. Yasuo is like a Zoe type champion, in my opinion. He's almost never weak. His like win rate's like 50%. And his scaling is surprisingly good into side lanes. Not into team fights unless you have like a Diana, but into side lanes. He's either top 5 or S tier, but you have to OTP him. Don't have like Yasuo in a pool, OTP Yasuo. And if you're willing to put in that time and effort, he can win every lane. He has like 1, maybe 2 bad matchups. He's really, really strong mid lane. So definitely, for now, top 5. Kassadin, please. Absolutely, we'll do Kassadin. I think Kassadin's at best low A tier. I know a lot of Kassadin OTPs that have hit high elo with him, so I don't feel like good putting him lower than A tier, but I just think there's better options that do what he does. I don't think he really teaches you the game as well. His scaling is disgusting, and he is currently really, really, really strong. I just don't think he's the best option for a scaling type mid laner. I think Syndra's probably better. Still good, like still objectively good. Probably better than Cassio because he's mechanically simple and like you can use him as a counter pick, but I can't put him higher than that. Next up we have Set, who is not a mid laner. Please do Qiyana. Sure. Qiyana's kind of like Zed, where she's just better jungle, but like if you put in the time, she can be worth it. I think she's better than the champs in B tier because like I know people who are really good on Qiyana who make the champ look busted, and if you have the hands for her, honestly, she's kind of like AD Cassio, where like if your hands are good on Qiyana, she's S tier. Like she's the top of S. She's one of the best champs in the game. But for most people who don't have the hands, I just can't put her any higher than this. But her scaling is actually pretty nice. She's kind of like AD Cassio the more I think about it. Like, she's really, 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 really good. Do Jayce. I don't really think Jayce is a mid laner. Like, he's kind of picked, but he's not represented here. Okay, I will pretend for the sake of argument that this Corki represents Jayce. He's just too hard in my opinion. He goes in B tier. He's just like too hard for your average player, and I think he's better top lane. Yeah, Swain's definitely a mid laner, and Swain is like one of the best mid laners in the game as a counter pick. So you cannot blind Swain. This is the thing. Blind Swain, you're going to be met with like Syndra Ori, and it's so miserable. But if you choose Swain into like Galio or into a good Swain game, he is really, really strong. So as a counter pick, he is S tier, but I do not think he can be blinded in high elo. Malzahar is the low elo king. He is the best champion in low elo, but because his first base, like pre-first base, is so bad in high elo, he loses to every champ in the game, and his skirmishing is bad. He can't really be played in high elo unless you're kind of a psychopath. So that's my personal take on it. Don't play Malzahar if you are above gold. There are just other champions that are better for you. So I have a friend who mains Diana, and he would kill me if I put Diana anywhere in B tier. But I think I'm going to have to do it. Because this champion just requires you OTP her, but there's not as much investment to OTP her, because I think there are other mid laners that scale better that do similar things. Like Akali has more outs than Diana does. Like Diana's an all-in champion, and that's kind of it. Diana has a much stronger lane than Akali does, but Akali is a lot more flexible. Sylas is a lot more flexible and is like is just better in higher elos and can be played in a pool better than Diana can. So Diana's like an okay OTP champion. But in the grand scheme of mid laners, I just don't think she's it. TBG stands for to be graded, by the way, for anyone wondering. Talon is kind of with Zed, where he's like just better in the jungle, and like he's kind of a coin flip champion. Like if the game is a good Talon game, you're gonna have a lot of fun on Talon. But if it's a bad Talon game and like there aren't many roam opportunities, you're just gonna fall off of a cliff, and he's not really super blindable, so like why bother, man? Just play him in the jungle if you want to play Talon, and if you want to play an AD assassin, play Qiyana. Like just develop the hands for Qiyana. But of the 3 AD assassins, Talon's the mechanically simplest, but also just the best in jungle, so go play him jungle. Sadly, AD assassins are not very good mid lane compared to jungle. Seraphine is not really a mid laner, unfortunately. Riot has kind of pushed her out of that role. But she can be a niche counter pick. Weirdly enough, she's good into Taliyah because Taliyah can't really punish her lane. And then she scales into mid game and she's fine. But her side laning is non-existent. She's kind of only a team fight bot. So if you can get away with picking her in games where you don't have to side lane, like you're into something like Xerath maybe, where like you're fine with kind of sacking lane and just playing for team fight, she might be alright, but she's kind of a B tier champion. She's not all that, in my opinion. Pantheon is one of the best AD champions in the entire game. Low-key, straight up. He is the simplest AD champion, and he is the one I recommend for people to pick up in lower elos. He isn't super, like, intuitive at first, because kind of weirdly enough, you think that he's, like, this absurd early game bully, and while he does have some matchups you can bully early game, he's actually more meant as, like, you could play him as, like, a scaling side laner, weirdly enough. There's a lot of options with Pantheon, and he is simple enough that I think he deserves to be in the S tier. He is probably the best AD champion. Like, I'll put him above Ambessa, honestly, because he's simpler than Ambessa. Yeah, I'll even put him above Swain. Not above Akali, but still very good. Where'd you put Zilean? If Zilean was here, he'd be in, like, probably A tier as a counter pick. Akshan is maybe the second best AD champion in the game, next to Pantheon. I think they're very similar. Akshan is really, really, really busted in high elo. And in low elo, if you actually play him disciplined and you take high value roams and you go static shiv and you go the right build and you don't take stupid fights early on and you play for like mid game, like 12 minutes plus, instead of just trying to like coin flip every game early game, he's really good. But like, I think Pantheon is simpler to execute and also provides frontline for your team. So Tristana is not really a mid laner. Just don't view her as one. I think there's champs that do her job better, like notably Akshan. Like Tristana is just kind of power crept to mid lane by Akshan. LeBlanc's pretty good in high elo, kind of like Sylas. I really hate LeBlanc. LeBlanc is maybe my most hated champion in the entire game. But like objectively, LeBlanc's pretty good, no. Like LeBlanc is a shit ton of gank setup, but she falls off of a cliff. So if you're able to snowball lane or gank with your jungler or impact the map, she's really good, but that's pretty hard to do. So she's kind of a high-low skew champion, like Master Plus. Like Ryze and Sylas are like Diamond Plus, like Taliyah's Plat Plus, like Zoe's like Emerald Plus. Like LeBlanc is Master Plus. I would not play LeBlanc unless you're Master. Sure, we can do Katarina. Katarina is like Talon, like coin flip AP assassin. Like, very coin flip. She has, like, no good matchups except for, like, Taliyah and Veigar. That's kind of it. She's super duper coin flip. But weirdly enough, every Katarina OTP has success with her. I think she's coin flip as hell, but I see so many Katarina OTPs outplay their way out of it. I don't know why. I don't know how, but somehow she's able to do it. So just on basis of her outplay potential, I'll put her in A tier, but, like, low A tier, and that's only out of respect for Katarina mains. Vel'Koz is probably one of the most flexible artillery mages in the game, like, of them. He has very, very, very good wave clear, and he is a lot safer than Xerath is, so that's not saying a lot. Xerath is probably one of the squishiest champs in the entire game. I'm not sure where to put him. My gut tells me bottom of, or maybe middle of A tier. He's good. He can be useful. I think he's a little worse than Qiyana, but He does a lot of damage, and if you're in a good Vel'Koz game, he can pop off, but he is also kind of hard. If Asol would be like low A tier if he wasn't in low elo. He's like an okay counter pick. Hui is fine. I prefer other mages personally. Like, I think Viktor, Syndra are a bit better than Hui is, but he's definitely a solid champion to climb with. He's good in most elos. I just don't generally like generalists, and I think he's a bit too flexible. I wish he was a bit better at one thing. He's like fine at scaling, he's fine early, he has fine utility, he has fine damage, but he's not particularly amazing in any one area. He's good, just not the best. Twisted Fate is currently really broken, but in general, he's like, he's fine. When he's not absurdly broken, he's fine. He's kind of like Galio, who we'll get to, where if you're really good at the game, you can make Twisted Fate work really well. But he doesn't have much damage compared to like Taliyah, where Taliyah kind of does what TF does, but has more consistent damage, but TF is point-and-click setup, so kind of pick your poison. His lane is not the strongest, but if you can get through lane, he scales very well. I'll put him above Ahri, honestly. I like him better because he's really good with champs like Kha'Zix's point-to-click, CC, and like guaranteed setup. Yasuo is that high, really? Yes. Is this the tier list for all ranks? It's a tier list for all ranks, yep. It's slightly high elo skewed, but I try to take into account how they perform in most ranks. Karma's fine. She's not really a mid laner, but of all the enchanters to play mid lane, she's fine. She has some lane bully potential, and she can be good in certain games, but she doesn't really teach you much. I'll put her in B tier. She just doesn't teach you much about the game. Like, when you learn to play Karma, you learn to play Karma. You don't really learn to play mid lane. Xerath is one of the harder champs in the game, if only because he is so easy to die on. When you play Xerath mid, it is so easy to die. It's so easy to get killed, to just get blown up instantly, and there's like no counterplay. There's like nothing else you can do if you play Xerath mid, because the champion is just not designed to function and to dive. But if you're in an easy Xerath game where you're like, you have a winning side lane you can play through, you don't really have to go to side lane super early, they don't have a ton of dive, the champion isn't that hard. He's not that bad, but he's like really situational. So like as a counter pick, he's like Hui tier. He's like Hui tier. Honestly, there's like a pretty big divide between the top 5 and these 5. Like, these 5 are really either situationally good or, like, have their niches a lot better. These 5 are, like, if you can make them work, their highs are a lot higher, but their lows are also a lot higher. Lux, please. Sure, we'll do Lux next. Lux is really underrated, in my opinion. I've always thought this champion was quite good. But I don't see her in high elo because a lot of the high elo OTPs play her bot lane where she is significantly better. But as a mid laner, she's a pretty good counter pick. Her laning phase is pretty disgusting. She does a ton of damage, and she has a get out of jail free card when she can ER the entire wave. Like, honestly, really underrated. Is she a great blind? No, but she can play into most matchups. Like, low key, pretty good. Like, pretty good champion. Like, probably a little worse than Kassadin, Qiyana, but especially in low elo, like, pretty good, honestly. I do not recommend Twitch as an OTP, no. Do not OTP Twitch. Orianna is a definitive top 5 mid laner. She teaches you basically everything about the game. She's very, very, very hard, but she's playable in basically every single rank, gold plus. She teaches you how to dominate the lane. Her scaling is fine. She's basically Viktor, but with a move speed up, and, like, I think a little bit easier to pull off than Viktor is. But she's very, very similar to Viktor. Very, very, very similar. Is this just best mid laners? It is best mid laners to climb with. Next up, we have Azir. Azir is in Yone tier. Azir is one of the worst characters in the entire game. I recently released a TikTok saying he was the worst champion of all time, and I hold to that opinion. He will permanently be in pro play jail. He is absurdly hard. Like, he's hard mechanically, but it's not just the mechanics, it's the macro you need to pull off. Just play Syndra. Don't touch Azir. If you like scaling mid laners, play Syndra. If you like DPS champs, play Ryze. Don't play Azir. There's just better champions out there. Azira's not a mid laner. She just isn't. She just doesn't function. Ekko is good. I think he's underrated. I think he's kind of like Qiyana, where he can neutralize most lanes very effectively, but into certain comps and when he's behind, he's dog shit. So that's kind of how I view him, where if you fall behind, he's useless, but he can neutralize most lanes fairly well, and he has a lot of, a surprising amount of utility. Azir APC? No. Azir needs levels, which is why he's played mid lane. Brand is low elo. Like, good low elo champ, honestly, but don't play him at high relos. But his scaling's really nice post first item. He does a crap ton of damage, shreds through frontline. He might be better in high elos, if not for the fact that he just dies to any gank because he is so immobile. The tier list is based off of how good they are to climb with, just generically. Galio is in the argument for top 5. I don't think I'd kick anyone down, but he's up there. He's like next to Viktor as one of the best mid laners. He's probably the best counter pick in the entire game for mid lane because he's really, really good into AP assassins like Akali, Fizz. He like shits on those champions, and then he's pretty good into most mages. His scaling isn't the best, but you don't need to because your utility is crazy. You provide engage if you decide to go Ghost, which is like a lot easier in the new season to go Ghost. And because he is so mechanically simple, he is a fantastic like third champion in a pool to finish the pool off. Aurelia is not quite in Yone tier, but she is really, really hard. She's kind of a Qiyana type character. I think a little bit worse than Qiyana, a little bit better than Katarina. She is so hard, but she's so dominant in lane and so dominant on one item. But if you're not like crushing the game and taking it into your hands, there are other champions that you should play. Annie is like very similar to Aurora, but with more setup. If you're solo AP on Annie, you're having a good time. If you're not, you're having a bad time, and it's pretty much that simple. Viego mid, like B tier. But yeah, Annie is basically Aurora, but with more setup. Both of these champs really want to be solo AP, and if they're not solo AP, they're really, really, really miserable. My thoughts on Karma were that if you want to play an Enchanter mid, she's your best option, but she doesn't really teach you the game. She's not bad necessarily, but she doesn't teach you mid lane holistically. But if you want to play an Enchanter, she's definitely your best option compared to, like, Soraka. Vex is kind of bad. Vex has never been a great champion because of how committal she is, and her poke isn't good. Frankly, compared to other champions, she's kind of an all-in champion. She's kind of a low elo tier champ, in my opinion. She's, like, really, really not good in high elos. She's like, pretty bad. She might be the worst mage in the game, unfortunately. She doesn't really have an audience, and she's, like, advertised as an anti-dash champion, but she doesn't actually do anti-dash things, so, like, I don't really know why, like, what her existence is about. Is Trist playable mid? No, play Akshan. Akshan is kind of better Trist, in my opinion. Fizz is next, and Fizz is unfortunately, like, kind of Talon-esque. How did Talon get that low? Talon's not that low. Where I think he's kind of coin flip, honestly. He's kind of like Katarina. Where you can dominate lane on him, you can outplay, but I think he's kind of weak in comparison to the other champions in the game. Like, he relies too much on random chaos, and the higher up you go, the less good he is, because mid laners start to take bone plating and flinching every single fucking game. It's really, really irritating, actually. Lissandra's a really good counter pick. Like a Swain tier counter pick. If you're picking her into Zed or Akali or Yasuo or these other popular champions, she's really, really good. She's not the best blind because she can kind of get shit on, but her utility is quite strong. I just think there's better options if you want a blind pick. Like, if you want a blind pick up Syndra or Viktor. But still quite good. What about Nasus? Nah, not really. He just doesn't get enough early prio. And I don't think he teaches you much. Anivia is really underrated as well. Also as a counter pick. But I think she belongs in S tier. You can blind her. because of Catalyst. So you can pick her into the harder matchups and go even, but she is really, really efficient when you have when you're into short range team comps. Because in team fights, if you're into short range team comps, you will dominate. What about Nefiri? If Nefiri was on this tier list, well, she's probably A tier, somewhere in there, like a good 80 assassin. But I haven't ran into enough Nefiri because I just see her like in other roles, frankly. I don't really see her mid lane anymore. Finally, we have Ziggs. Ziggs is really not a mid laner, to be honest. He can be played mid lane, and of all the artillery mages, he's like one of the best because he has a dash, but he's just so effective in bot lane. I'm not quite certain why you would put him there. I think his scaling is worse than other mages because his damage is pretty inconsistent. I just don't think he has that dog in him compared to like Aurora. And he can be quite good, but you kind of have to snowball, and he's a lot better in a team-oriented environment. And I think that's the full tier list. If Mel was on this list, she'd be in Yone tier. She's dog shit. I'll take Zyra for the sake of argument. She's in Yone tier. She's actually complete dog shit. She is one of the worst champions in the entire game. And even after her rework, I don't think she's going to be that good, personally. I think that's the full tier list. I'm going to do some final adjustments just based on, like, vibes. I feel like Yasuo is, like, the best OTP in the game, so I'm going to put him above Zoe. I'm really debating putting Viktor above Ori. I personally like Viktor better, but... Also, Yone has to be at the bottom of Yone tier. He's dog shit. He is dog shit. Horrible, horrible champ. I like Galio here. I like Ryze here. I like Akali here. I like all of this. All of S tier looks good. The phase rush nerf is really rough. I think this tier list looks good. Yeah, this is my official full tier list for all ranks on mid laners to climb with. If you like more content like this, please subscribe. I have a TikTok you can check out down below, and I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day.